Hi, this is John with VersaFeed.com. Today we're going to be looking at our Google Shopping Manager program. If you'd like to, feel free to maximize the window and or increase the resolution. We are going to be looking at some detailed screenshots, so that might help. So let's jump in. The first thing you're going to want to do is visit VersaFeed.com/clients. And you should have here a login. If you don't have a login, contact your account manager and they can send you the link to set you up. We're going to utilize the demo account. So what you'll see here is the home page. On the left you'll see some various links. There's a lot of things you can do here, but of course the main focus of this video is Google Shopping Manager. So we're going to go over here and click Marketing Channels. And then we're going to click Google Shopping Manager. If you do log in and you don't see these, again, contact your account manager. It just means we need to do some tweaks with your account. So you'll see the two pop-downs here, PLA Bid Manager and PLA Reports. These are the two major components of the Google Shopping Manager program that we have. So first we're going to look at the manager, and this is where we actually set bids for your products and adjust them to try to fine-tune how your products are listing on Google, so you're maximizing your profit while hopefully minimizing your spend. After a bit, we'll take a look at the reports, which is where you're going to get feedback on how well your products are working overall. So let's jump into the PLA Bid Manager and click that here. So this is the bidding rules sets, and what you'll see here is there are about 5 different sets. You can have as many sets as you'd like. Some people have a certain set for the default time of the year. Some people will have a special set for, let's say, holidays or vacations, or it depends on what you're selling. As you can see, only one rule set can be active at any time in this column here, and that currently is what's called Late Summer Test. And these can be enabled. You can turn them on simply by clicking on them and setting them enabled. Most of you right now, when you're starting off, are going to have one simple rule set. So don't be afraid if you only see one set here. That's not a problem. So that all being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the first rule set and see what kind of information we have in here. Okay, so you can see here there's quite a bit of info. One other thing to note is make sure you do see your correct information up here, and for clients with multiple websites, you'll have a drop down to select which websites you want to refer to, so make sure that looks good. So let's take a look at the meat of this here. So what you'll see are a whole bunch of rows here, and what these are individual rules that dictate how you'd like to bid for your product. And I'm going to do a quick couple of examples here just so you can get a general picture. So you'll notice here this is a SKU bid, and there's other types of bids that you can do, like brand, category, price, but this is a SKU bid. We're saying we want to match the SKU exactly, and this is the SKU. Obviously this is just example data, but you might have your own internal SKU here. And then we set the bid. You can see we've set the bid here to 1 penny. So obviously this is a product that we're not doing well on, and we want to basically try to remove from the equation. You don't ever really want to zero bid anything. In fact, you definitely don't want to. So by setting it to 1 penny, it will no longer show. You won't be wasting any money on it. If we wanted to make a change here, we could. You could put this up to 10 cents or something along those lines, and then you click Save over here, and then you would just have modified the rule. Let's take a look at some of the other rules. You'll see row 2 here also is a SKU rule, and also it's bid to a penny. It's another client that had a product that was not performing well, so we removed the bid. Let's take a look at this third row. Now this is where it gets a little bit different. You'll see this is a category bid, and it says starts with and then category 2. Now I'm going to pretend that we're dealing with, let's say, a sporting goods retailer. So typically this wouldn't be category 2. It would be something more like golf equipment or cycling gear or running shoes or something like that. That would be examples of the categories that you would have. And we're going to see those when we get into the PLA reports in a few minutes here. So this client is doing well with this particular category, so they've set the bid to $2.30. And so on and so forth. The next one that's a bit different is brand. And again, if this was a sporting goods store, you might have things like Adidas, Reebok, I don't know, Titleist Golf, something along those lines, instead of brand zero, but this has all been scrubbed, so it's not real data. And they've bid $1.40 on that, so on and so forth, until we get down to this one here, which is where they did a price bid. So they said, okay, if none of these other rules above here match, but the price is still greater than or equal to, you see here, $75, then they want to bid 50 cents. So it's kind of a last minute thing. If it's a somewhat expensive product, they're still willing to bid on it. And then lastly, what you'll have here is the default bid, this last row. And every one of you should have at the very least this, even if you don't have any other rules. In fact, when clients start, this is all they have. And then you have to build this rule set out. So the default rule set here is, you can see they've said, I'm going to bid 15 cents if it doesn't match any one of these products. One thing to keep in mind is that this is an ordered list that you're seeing here. So you want to keep your specific detailed bids at the top, and you want to keep your broader and broader ones lower. So you'll keep your SKU bids up here, then category and brand, typically then some price bids maybe, and then finally you have to have this default bid as last. So for every product that we have, we're going to walk through this list and we're going to see, does it match the first rule? Does it match the second, the third, the fourth? As soon as we see a rule that it matches, it's done and it leaves. If it doesn't match anything, obviously it'll go through all the rules and it'll wind up down here at the 15-cent bid. So that should give you an overview of how this works. I will say briefly, on the right-hand side, you'll notice this action column. If you want to add a row, you can always click the plus box here. You can click it plus, wherever you want to. Again, it is order dependent, so that the order does matter. There's a little trash can here, and if you click that, it says, do you want to remove it? And you'll see it disappears. I'll do that again for this one that I added. And we've already worked with the edit button, where you can then make these rows modifiable and change them to whatever you'd like. Lastly, I'll mention the promotion column here. If you want this enabled, you should probably talk to your account manager. Occasionally, Google does allow small promotional text to be displayed with the products. It seems as of late, and I'm making this in early September, they've been showing less and less of those, but it is a cool way where you can put promotions on individual products. So let's say, for example, this product was had free shipping or something. Well, it had some special, while most products don't. You could change the bid to increase it. Let's say $1.25, free shipping, 20% off, or something along those lines. And that would possibly show up depending on when and how Google displays your ad. For now, though, we're going to leave that blank. Once you have done all of this, you'll want to go ahead and click down here on Save Rule Set. And what you're going to want to make sure you do, though, is get everything prim and proper before you do this. Once you click this, it's submitted to our engineering staff, which then will use the AdWords API to actually push all of these changes live. Using that API does cost money. Clients that click this too often may incur a fee. So you want to get everything set up. Maybe talk to your account manager, then click Save Rule Set, and then you usually wait a few weeks to get see how your new strategy is going. Lastly, I'll also say, this will be obvious in the next step as well, but typically when you first start, you're going to have this one default rule here, which I already mentioned, and no others, and you're going to need to keep that for usually at least 6 weeks before you get enough data where you can start seeing trends and saying, hey, this product's working and this product isn't, so now I can make some adjustments. So keep that in mind as well. So that all being said, let's go ahead and click Save Rule Set and save this out. You see it says submitting up here. It's connecting, and that's it. And this should go live within 72 hours. We note that up here. It's typically going to be a lot faster than that, but for right now we have that as a warning. So it can take a couple days for us to launch it. If you need it in a hurry, you can always contact your account manager. So that should give a decent overview of the bid manager. Now let's take a look at how you're going to devise these various bids and how you get feedback on that. And that's going to come over here in the PLA reports section. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at that. Okay, so you'll see here again quite a bit of data coming back. This is all data coming back from your analytics and your AdWords account. Again, we're using the APIs to kind of merge up data and try to get these as readable as they can be, even though it still is quite a bit of information here. This is a report that tells you how each of your individual SKUs are doing across the board. And the main components of this really And for all the various reports I'm going to show you are this column here, how many clicks you're getting, and you can see we've got a nice little green graph here. The revenue that you've generated, and this is total checkout price. So you'll see here this item has got $189. So that means it's not how much you actually made in terms of raw profit. It's the checkout price when the customer checked out. You'll see cost here. Now this is your CPC cost that you spent to Google. So right here, just these three alone, these columns, we've got really good information to determine what's working and what's not. Clicks is really important again over here, because if this number is too low, you don't want to jump to any conclusions. 219 is this first row. That's obviously statistically relevant. However, if we scroll down, we're going to find products that just haven't got that many clicks. If we go all the way down here, here's one, for example, SKU 10 over here on the left. And if you look at this, you'll see it's had 16 clicks, it's cost $13, and it hasn't had any transactions, no revenue. So while that may not be good, obviously, it doesn't necessarily mean because it's only had 16 clicks that you should penny bid it and remove it. You might want to give it more time. Of course, that's up to you. Some retailers know their products very intimately, and they can tell you this is a bad product, I don't care, and I want to get rid of it. So that's where your domain knowledge would come in. But generally, we're looking at products that have a good amount of clicks, at least 30, 40, 50, before we make any judgments. So again, let's take a look at this. So we've got, here, let me back up a little bit here. So a few other things about this report. You'll see we also have a date range up here. Typically, you want to keep this as broad as you can, especially when you're looking at SKU data, because you want to try to get as many clicks as you can, so you know it's statistically relevant. We have a couple links to last month, last 30 days, and then of course you can always modify it directly here as well. So I'm going to keep it as is because I know that this is actually already the most data that this particular demo account has. So bigger picture here, this is the SKU report. There's other reports as well. And the main control to find those different reports is over here, which I'll click. And you can see we have a SKU report, we have a category report here, we have a brand report, and then we have a price range report. And so we'll go ahead and take a look at those in a minute. They all function very similarly. These are all going to lay out in a similar fashion. They're going to show you clicks, they're going to show you revenue, and they're going to show you cost. They're just breaking it down at different facets so you can see how your products are performing. So let's do a basic thing here and say, okay, for product number one here that we're looking at, 220 clicks, $190 in revenue, 183 in cost. This is obviously not working. This is not a product that we want to continue bidding on. So let's go ahead and do an example here and say, okay, I'm tired of spending money on this guy. He's getting lots of clicks and not enough traffic. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll up here, and if you'll notice this little pop out here, this brings us back to has the menu over here, and I'm going to open in a new tab the bid manager so we can kind of go back and forth between them. And now I'm going to go over here and click to the bid manager, and we're going to go back to our active rule set, and we're going to make a new bid by clicking this little plus box, and it's going to be a SKU bid. We're going to match the SKU number exactly, and I copied it into the clipboard on the other screen, so now I'm going to paste it in. I'm going to put 0.01 because this thing has not been doing good for us. I'm going to save it. And again, you don't want to necessarily click Save Rule Set yet, because that actually tries to deploy it. You're going to want to go through and make all the changes that you need, and then when you're ready to do it, you go ahead and come in and click Save Rule Set. So let's go back to the report here. So that's going to take care of this product, essentially, is what we just did. It's no longer going to be bothering us. We're going to increase our bottom line here by not spending money on a product that's not doing well. So on the flip side, let's find one that is making good money. And here's a pretty good example right here. You'll see that this product here has got 126 clicks, so we know it's statistically relevant. It's made $530, and we've spent $57 in pay-per-click fees. So the ROI is 1,000%. There's also, depending on what you're comfortable with, there's margin over here, there's RPC, return per click, there's cost per click information here. I typically use ROI, but some customers are comfortable with other numbers. These are all going to give you similar information in terms of how the product's doing. But in any event, this is doing fairly well for most clients anyway. So let's assume that we want to bid this up. So we would go over here and we would copy this and say, okay, this is the SKU, and then we would go to the bid manager, just changing tabs up here, add a new rule, set it to SKU, exact match. I'm going to paste it in there. And this we're going to bid up because obviously this was making money for us. So we might set a bid to it something higher, like $1.50. It really depends on a lot of factors. Some of this also is just going to have to come from your gut and how you feel about the product. Again, when you're looking at this with your information here, you're going to see actual names of products, the brand, the category, your real SKU. So you'll have a better idea of kind of what product you're working with, as opposed to right now where it's all just convoluted example data. So I'm going to close this up so we get a little more screen real estate here. So one last thing I'll tell you about the SKU report is that we do have something called filters. So as I was mentioning before, we don't really care about looking at all these products that have got 10, 20 clicks. And you can see here we've got quite a few rows here, 518 products that we're looking at. So you can do a filter as well, and this can be pretty helpful to try to figure out what products are doing good versus what products are doing bad. So let's go ahead and do that. So I clicked on Advanced Filters right here. We're going to click Add New Filter. We're going to select ROI, and we're going to say greater than, and let's just say 750%. And we're going to add another filter, and we're going to say clicks greater than, let's just say 40. So we know that it's a relevant statistical piece of information. Refresh report. Okay, so now we're looking at much less data. So these would be our winners, and you can see pretty easily over here, got 1,000% ROI, 870, 3,000%. So this is a quick way to say, okay, what products have got enough clicks and are working well. You might want to add all of these back. I'm going to click back over here as decent bids, kind of like we did with this one, where we set the bid to $1.50 or whatever you're comfortable with. So on the flip side, then we might want to find the real bad products. So let's do that. How do we do that? Advanced filters up here, and we're going to edit this, and we're going to say ROI less than, let's just say 250. This is going to be up to you in terms of what's losing money and what's making money. It really depends on your margins. We'll keep clicks at, let's just say 30. It's somewhat relevant. And then we'll refresh the report. And here are products that are underperforming. The first example is the same one that we already worked with that had 8% ROI. We removed that SKU with a penny bid in the other area. You might consider doing that for all of these products, or at least probably the first 5 here. 220 clicks, 170 clicks, 130, 100 clicks. These are all costing money. You can see here $183 in cost per click, $467 in cost per click, $152. This is a great way by removing these to get your overall revenue up on the Google Shopping channel. Okay, that was a long route, but I think it's really good to get into the details of how this works. It'll be a little bit easier now. Let's take a look at some of the other reports that work in an extremely similar fashion. So first I'm going to clear the advanced filter. So we're looking at all results. And now let's take a look at categories. Now, the reason categories and brand reports and price reports are valuable is that you don't have to wait to get, let's say, 50, 75 clicks or so before it's statistically relevant. Well, you do, but you're going to get there a lot quicker. So when you're looking at an individual SKU, it can take months and months and months for you to accrue enough clicks to say, okay, this is actually a poor performing product. I'm aware of that, and I'm going to remove it. If you're looking at things that are from a higher level, let's say categories or brands, you might be able to determine that information much more quickly. So in this case, you can see here, we're looking at categories. And as I was mentioning before, if this was a sporting goods store, you might see things like baseball, hockey, cycling over here in the categories, clothing, whatnot. So you can get a look at how those are doing as well. So you can see in this first listing here, again, we're sorted on clicks. We've got 731 clicks. We've made $1,800 in sales, and it's cost us $460. With the ROI being 367%. So this is one of those cases where it would really be up to the retailer to figure out, is this product doing good, or is this category doing good, or is this category doing bad? If you had really high margins on this product, this could be great, and you might want to go and make a new category bid. If you had really low margins, though, you might be losing money on this. So again, it would be up to you to decide. I'll do an example one here though. You'll see there's a pretty good winner down here. Right here we've got 1600% ROI. You can see over here 142 clicks, so it is relevant, and we've made $1,500 and we've spent 90. So that's pretty good. So you might want to take this. It just says category 9. I'm going to switch tabs here, go back to the bidding, and then I'm going to add this rule a little bit lower down. We don't want to take over our SKU level bids. We want those to be at the top. We're going to put this more in the middle, so we can catch it after the SKUs have been signed up. We want the SKU bids to always be first. So we'll put category, we'll put exact, and we'll put category 9, and we'll set this maybe to, I don't know, 75 cents or something. You can do fancy stuff here too. Let's say, like I was saying, category 9 was cycling. You might have a bunch of different cycling categories. Maybe they were all doing well. Instead of saying exact, you could also say contains or starts with. These would grab things like cycling shoes or cycling, I don't know, frames, something along those lines. So it doesn't have to be exact, and that's where this kind of comes into play. And really all this stuff is what just allows you to make a really granular bidding strategy that can hopefully build ROI as fast as possible. So we'll go ahead and save this one in there. We'll save that one too, and we'll go back to our reporting page. I won't get into too much more detail with this. Obviously, you can also do the advanced filters and remove products that aren't that don't have enough clicks to really make sense to either bid up or bid down. Let's go ahead and take a look at brands. And again, over here, typically you would see something like Nike, Reebok, I don't know, Trek bicycles or something like that. And what you can see again is all the statistical information here. Revenue and costs. So this one is doing pretty poorly, 67%. So we've made $1,400 in spend, and we've spent about $900. So unless you've got amazing margins, that's probably no good. But then we've got some that are a bit brighter, like this one in particular down here, as well as this here. And you could do the same with any of these. You could increase them or remove or lower the bids in the bidding manager as you see fit. So lastly, we're going to go ahead and just take a look at price range. And this just shows you how your various price bands are doing. So for products that were between, for the first row here, products that were between $50 and $100, you can see we've gotten 267 clicks, or excuse me, we have 267 total products in that band. We've got 2,100 clicks, we've made almost 7,000, and we've spent about 1,500 here. So sometimes clients will often set bids, like I showed you, based on the price. This is a decent area to check up on how that's doing for you, to see if it's getting good traction or not. As you noticed over here, this client had a price rule that was set for near the end here. For anything more than $75, they still would bid 50 cents, and if it didn't hit that, at least they would still do 15 cents in the bid below. What you'll see a lot of the times for clients also, especially when they're new to the game, is that if they don't have a lot of information on their products yet in terms of what's showing up in these bidding reports, you can always make a pretty straightforward price-only rule set. So I'll do a quick example of that here and go back to the bid manager. So we'll do a new rule set. We'll call it prices only. And it asks us to do right here, what's the default going to be? So we'll just put the default, so let's just say something low like 0.5, and let's start adding some rows here. And what you can do is you can just say price greater than, you're going to want to list your higher prices first so that you don't match mistakenly. So let's say you sell products, the most expensive product you sell is maybe $2,000. So you could have 1,000 here, and you're going to bid that at $1.25. You could have another price rule here, greater than, let's say 500. So this is going to be your bid for products that are between 500 and 1,000. You might do $0.75, 75 cents. And then let's say price greater than 100. So this rule is going to hit for products that are less than 500 but are more than 100. You might do 0.30. and then we could save this all out. And this is a simple example of if you don't have a lot of information but still want to bid just based on the products that you have in terms of their price ranges. Obviously, most clients want to sell products that are more expensive. This is a way to boost promotion on those. And I'll go ahead and click Save Rule Set here. Oh, you have to click Save on each of these when you're done. And now we'll click Save Rule Set. So this has been an introduction for Google Shopping Manager, mainly for the bid management area and for the reporting. I hope you have found it somewhat valuable. Play around with it. There's a lot of things in here, like you can even download various CSV files for the bidding rules. You can download them for your reports. And we're adding to it as well. If you have questions, contact your VersaFeed account manager, or you can always also just email us at support@versafeed.com. Thanks so much for listening, and good luck with Google Shopping Manager.